Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TechGig webinar. Thank you for joining the session today. The topic of today's webinar is Introduction to IoT Platform Thingworx. It will be a 1-hour session with around 40 to 45 minutes for the presentation and the remaining 15 minutes for the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please send them to us using the Questions tab on the GoToWebinar control panel. I am Sabha, the moderator of this session, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our guest speaker, Mr. Piyush Jain. Piyush is the co-founder of Exelta Systems. He is instrumental in visualizing the IoT education space in Indian market. He has brought to life many unique offerings in IoT education space via Exelta's IoT Academy. He has strong business acumen coupled with strong technology understanding. So without any further delay, let me introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Piyush.
Thanks, Sabha. Thanks for the introduction. So let me start the session today. And today's session is about introduction to IoT platform Thingworx. Okay, and as IoT is a buzzword today, so everybody is interested in IoT buzzword. But what makes IoT happen? It is these products which are there like Thingworx, which make actually IoT happen. And it's already being implemented by thousands of developers across hundreds of companies. So that's why we thought that, we should enter into a partnership with PTC Thingworx, and that's what we have done. And we are now launching Exelta's training also in IoT Thingworx, as well as wanted to share this knowledge about Thingworx with everybody so that everybody is aware of how Thingworx is playing an important part in the IoT world. So this session agenda is like first 3 minutes I'll talk about Exelta, then 3 minutes about IoT. So basically to bring everybody on the same page with respect to understanding IoT, I'll just take 3 minutes of your time. Then I'll talk about cloud-based platform. What is that cloud-based platform? What are we talking about here? Then I'll talk, of course, in detail about Thingworx, different components of Thingworx, comparison of Thingworx with different platforms and stuff, clients of Thingworx, and then how opportunities are opening up in Thingworx. And why everybody on this call should look at Thingworx as one of the opportunities opening up as a career option also, right? So that's the agenda for today. I hope everybody is okay with that. So let me proceed now and start the session. So Exelta, probably some of you know, is an IoT startup. So it is started by me, Piyush, and my partner Manish Agrawal. I'll come to our profiles later. And we are today recognized as one of the top IoT startup. We have been rated by multiple magazines, and we have started the world's largest IoT education company today. And we have trained more than 3,000 people worldwide in IoT concepts and all that. And then we have also built a lot of products in IoT space where we have deployed those solutions. Today, there are thousands of devices which are being hosted by Exelta on its own platform and stuff. So we are getting there. So in the last 3 years, we have gone through that cycle of developing products, developing offerings, and launching it in the market, and successfully seeing them be implemented. So that gives us great confidence and pleasure. We have a lot of clients, several Fortune 500 clients, and our website is exelta.com, which anybody of you can visit later. Right. We have also created an IoT ecosystem where more than 10,000 professionals are connected to us. So whoever has done our training, plus other people also who are professionals working in IoT space, are connected to our IoT ecosystem, where if anybody has any questions about IoT and technical issues, we can get solutions for people. So it's an alumni network of IoT for Exelta. So these are our profiles. So my name is Piyush, and you can see my partner name is Manish Agrawal. Together we, the traditional story that we were working at comfort levels in our different organizations when we kind of decided to quit around 3 years back and launched this organization. And since that date, trust me guys, the going has been great for us. Never a single day, even a single day has not happened when we have looked back and thought that we did something wrong. It has all been about looking forward and really developing business here. So these are some of the things that we do. We have several trainings and offerings. We have several products which are there in the market today. So if anybody wants more details about these trainings or products, do advise you to visit exelta.com website, and you can see all the details. So I will not repeat those points here. So these are some of our clients, and you can see a pretty huge list. Many of them are training clients. Some of them are product clients. Like for example, Indian Railways, Adage, Coca-Cola are our RBS are our product clients. Ingram Micro in US, and the remaining are our training clients. So, and this is not the all-inclusive list. There are several more clients that we have been able to successfully break into. So let me now get into the topic of today and try and explain you about IoT in just 3 minutes. And now what I've done is I'm trying to explain you about IoT with a focus on Thingworx also here. Okay, so if you see here, I have put a IoT wearable watch here. It's an Apple iWatch, let's say. Okay, so this lady is wearing this watch. So whenever you talk about IoT and an IoT device, you talk about smart device, right? The smart keyword comes in, and a unique identity has to be assigned to any device which is getting into IoT ecosystem. Okay, so you will have some unique identity assigned to this watch, and it will also have a lot of sensors and stuff. Of course, apart from time, it will do a lot of other things. So it will have a lot of sensors and stuff to figure out, you know, your walking steps, your sleeping patterns, your pulse rate, and in future maybe even your blood condition levels and all that, right? So this watch is a smart watch which is having a unique identity, and it's able to gather all this information. And not only that, it has an ability to gather this information as well as pass this information using typically low-range communication protocols like Bluetooth Low Energy, Zigbee, Z-Wave, and several more are there, to a device which is called a gateway. It is also called an aggregating device in terms of Thingworx parlance. Okay, so this aggregating device is nothing but like a router, you can say, which is able to talk to this thing, as we call it, the smart thing. The watch will become a smart thing in terms of, Thingworx terminology. And this thing is able to talk to this gateway or an aggregating device and push the data that it is capturing from the human body to that. Okay, and then this aggregating device, which is also having an implementation of Edge SDK or Microsoft, which I will explain later, is then able to push the data to your Thingworx platform. Okay, and there are several keywords here. I just want to bring them out so that you understand the terminology. We also call it ERP of things. We also call it IoT platform. We also call it device management software. Okay, so all these are different names of the same piece of code. Okay, which is one of those implementations of those codes has been done by PTC, which is called Thingworx. Okay, and this code resides here on a cloud typically. See, of late, most of the softwares are being released only on the cloud. So that's where this piece of software has been installed on a cloud by PTC, and it is basically a Thingworx platform where all these devices, the watches and your connected television, your connected washing machine, any smart device, connected cars, anything can talk to this cloud using an aggregating device or a gateway. And the channels of communication from this aggregating device to the cloud is typically like Wi-Fi, 2G, 3G, 4G kind of connectivity. And the protocols which are typically used here are REST over HTTP, MQTT, AMQP. So these kind of protocols are used to push data to a cloud-based system. Okay, and this cloud-based system is where the monitoring of device, the tracking of device, the controlling of device, and analysis of device happens, right? And this is where the brain of the system resides. Okay, so all the big data analytics, figuring out, for example, if this lady here starts getting a very high pulse rate, okay, let's say 200 per second, per minute, and the data comes in here. So it is here in this cloud-based system, the brain, their analysis can happen and say, oh, the pulse rate is very high. We probably need to inform this lady that, she needs to go and visit a doctor immediately, maybe inform an ambulance company also to come and start treating her or do something about it, right? So that is done here in this cloud-based system. That's what Thingworx IoT platform is about. Of course, we will go as we go further deep into this, into much more details about this platform. But at a high end, that is what IoT systems are about, where things connect to this platform via multiple steps typically, which are, aggregation device and a REST, long-range communication protocol like REST MQTT, AMQP or something like that. And data comes in here. Also, this device is able to take actions. Actions could be back onto the device itself, where maybe a red alarm might sound here, saying that your pulse rate is too high, please go and visit a doctor. Or, some physical medicine can be injected into this baby, in future devices where some pulse rate might be controlled by it. Or replace this by a connected car. It could be that an intruder is injected in the car and then the car engine is frozen by this cloud-based system, right? So such kind of systems are going to become. So the important terminology to realize here is that this is called a thing, right? And this is called an IoT platform or device management system or ERP of things also is being extensively used. And this is where the brain of the system resides. And every IoT device has to have an identity. Okay, so I hope these points are clear and let me move on. So what is an IoT platform device management system? Let me just repeat some of the points. So it's a cloud-based system, as I said earlier. Today, more and more softwares, right from SAP to PeopleSoft to several softwares which are being released today are being released only on the cloud, because it's very much possible to everybody to have access to the cloud, and it makes a compulsory use case to release software on the cloud. So this software platform is also deployed on some cloud by Thingworx, and billions of devices send data to it, and billions of devices can potentially receive instructions from it. And essentially this is the brain of IoT system. So you can see here all these devices here, just a small sample can connect to this cloud-based system and start receiving and sending information. And analytics is where analytics is done and value is derived from the data that is coming in. So Thingworx is one of the important IoT platforms, and there are several other platforms which are there. In fact, as of today, there are more than 100 IoT platforms. And if you see here, Thingworx is one of the major ones, of course. Then Microsoft Azure is also an important one. IBM Bluemix is also an important one. Then GE Predix has been recently launched for industrial IoT. They're saying that we are the first platform to exclusively focus on industrial IoT. Right? Aries is another such platform. Amazon has also launched the Amazon IoT platform. Okay, so you have to differentiate between a cloud and an IoT platform. So cloud system provider like Microsoft Azure is a cloud provider also, right? And then this platform has been built by Microsoft and installed on its cloud. Okay, Azure IoT cloud. So Thingworx has possibly taken a space in some cloud provider and then install its software there to be able to, so that everybody can access that, right? And that's what that platform has become very important and very critical, and is one of the oldest platforms in IoT space. In fact, Thingworx started in 2009. Okay, so I'll just come to that. So Thingworx was founded in 2009 by somebody called Russell Fardell in UK, I guess, and then it was bought by PTC. Okay, so PTC is one of the largest companies today in the IoT space, and we call it SAP of IoT, basically because it is becoming like SAP of IoT, that kind of dominance in IoT space. And Thingworx is their IoT platform, which is today world's largest IoT platform. And because Russell kind of developed and conceived this idea in 2009, when there were no other platforms, so this has been built ground up, right, Thingworx, and it has been built for devices and stuff, and all the features which are required for IoT have been built specifically for this platform. And it's not like Microsoft Azure from Microsoft or IBM Bluemix, where already cloud systems are there and then they reposition themselves as IoT companies. Thingworx has been built for IoT right from ground up. So it caters in a much deeper way to IoT space. Okay, and Thingworx can do a lot of things for you. You can have, compelling web interfaces. You can share all your data. You can configure your device. You can integrate your device. Of course, you can integrate your device with it, right? You can monitor and alert when some exception conditions happen. You can do data modeling. You can see how this data, can add value, and you can figure out conditions and things which can add value to your business. You can do real-time communication with millions and millions of devices simultaneously, right? And it's very fast to deploy and build. And so these are some of the components of Thingworx. So what I will do now is go through each component very briefly, of course, for lack of time, and then talk about it. So when we talk about Excelta launching IoT training, we are essentially talking about covering Thingworx end-to-end. So we have got our exclusive partnership with Thingworx, and we are launching this training where we'll cover all these components in great detail with a lot of practical expertise being given to the attendees. So this, let me go to the first component. So one is this TW Composer. What is TW Composer? Let me try and explain that. So Thingworx Composer is, you can say, like an entry point to Thingworx. Okay, where all the other features that you just saw here, are a part of actually your Composer only. So composer you can define in other words like an IDE for developing your system, IoT system on Thingworx. So for example, let's say you want to automate a house. Okay, you have a temperature control device installed in the house where you want to automate and maintain the temperature wherever you go in the world. You want to know what the temperature is, and if temperature is beyond a point, you want to trigger an action and control the air conditioning in your house. Okay, then if you want to build this use case, then the starting point will be inside the Thingworx composer. You will have to build that development model, or you can say deployment model for that house. Okay, and that's where Thingworx composer comes in very handy. As you can see here in the screen below, it is all drag and drop kind of features. You can create your house there as an IoT device or IoT thing, and then you can add features to it and all that. I'll come into details in that. But imagine that you have an interface which is all visually driven. Okay, and then suppose you have 100 devices that you want to connect, then you can just create those devices using visual interface tools and very easily access that and get data from that using a Thingworx composer tool. Okay, very, very visually interface driven kind of device that has been built. And as I explained earlier, this house will become a thing. Okay, and a thing which is represents like, for starting any development in Thingworx, you have to first visualize what use case you are going to do. Like for example, I explained the use case of, temperature control in a house. Similarly, for doing any, or you might have another use case. Maybe you want to control your car, or you want to detect a thief outside your house, or you want to, maintain in a factory something, right? So all those will become a thing. A thing could be a device, a physical asset, or another business process for Thingworx. Doesn't matter as long as it is able to produce data and send to Thingworx, right? So Thingworx, so you can define the properties for that thing. Like for example, in the case of house, you can define the ID, address, temperature is a property you want to control, and power consumption, let's say you want to control. So you can define all these properties. You can set up events and alerts. You can say, if temperature crosses 25 degrees Celsius, I want an alert to happen, and I want to inform the AC in the house to again start and make it below 25 degrees Celsius. So I want to maintain my temperature below 25. Okay, or something like that. Or if a door is opened at any time in your house, you want you to be informed about it, and then you want to, maybe raise an alarm. If an unauthorized person who is not in your database is trying to enter into your house, right? So all those events and alerts can be defined, right? And then you can bind that data that you are collecting, like temperature or electricity, to the service. So you have to bind it to a service. That you can say, okay, temperature service, it is basically convert into Celsius and get the value and set the value. Okay, inside your service, you have to define that service. And then you can manage alerts in the subscription, where you can say, okay, if temperature goes above this, do this action, send this notification to this person or to this device or to this house, all sorts of possible combinations you can do. And of course, you will process the data into a database. Okay, and you will also be able to visualize the data in several reports and stuff. So I'll come to the mashup builder. For understanding the concept of a thing is very important for understanding Thingworx. Okay, so you can see this is like the screen of Thingworx, and you can see we have just created Excel here, but you can see all visually driven. You can define things, templates, data types, thing shapes, projects. You can see, other tools also which are part of Thingworx, like mashup builder. Everything you can access from this Thingworx composer home screen, right? And you can create everything. This is the main driving point of Thingworx, or you can say the IDE for Thingworx, basically. Okay, and again trying to show that you can all do things, everything you can do visually in Thingworx. Okay. Similarly, so again coming to mashup builder now. So what is a mashup builder? A mashup builder is a device or is a piece of software which has been built by Thingworx to visualize the data that you are getting. For example, let's say now that you have built a home automation device, as your company has built a home automation device, which is now implemented across tens of thousands and millions of homes all across India or wherever you are in the world. Now data has started coming in from all those houses and other things to your Thingworx, okay, through the TW composer and other things. Now in mashup you can visualize that. Okay, you want to see in how many houses an intruder was detected. Okay, so of those millions of records, you can quickly drag and drop fields and create a report in a few minutes or very, very quickly, and you can launch a report, and you can share it, and you can, on a click of a button. There is no programming allowed inside Mashup Builder. You can do everything on a click of a button, and you can just publish those reports to mobile phones, to desktop applications, to some back-end systems, wherever you want to go, right? So all that is possible. Very, very powerful Mashup Builder. In fact, Mashup Builder, I'll say, is one of the key differentiating points between Thingworx and others, because it's a very powerful tool that has been built. Again, it's a codeless piece, as I explained earlier. You can develop buttons there. Like, for example, at a press of a button, do some action. So you can develop a report and you can have a button there. And if that shows the temperature is above a limit, at a press of a button, you can trigger some action. So this Mashup Builder will send that action to the composer, which will then take care of it further. It's such kind of, systems you can develop with a lot of visual interface using Mashup Builder. Again, Thingworx, one of the key differentiating points of Thingworx is that Thingworx has entered into alliances with a lot of different companies. Like you can see here, Aquamatics, Traffic Solutions, Dirt Road, and Rail Communications. So what Thingworx has done is that, when you want to generate a report, for example, in a house, use case of a house, you can figure out the report will be somebody entering into the house unauthorized way, somebody trying to break a window, the air conditioning not running properly, or a gas leakage may be happening. But we'll talk about, let's say, some industry. Let's say a water-based company, like Aquamatics is a water-based company, which is building a lot of devices for water domain, right? So in that, thinking about business and thinking about what kind of reports to generate, what kind of data to capture is very difficult for guys like you and me, unless you are domain expert. So what Thingworx has done is tied up with Aquamatics and already developed those domain ontologies we call for water domain. Okay, so those reports can be pre-built, and if you are also launching a company where you are doing something for roads, traffic solutions, railways, farms, water domains, and several such domains, okay, Thingworx already has reports and business analytics built for you. You can just buy from them and reuse it, saving huge amount of time and energy for a new company, right? So those kind of things Thingworx has excelled in, which has really led to huge, pickup in Thingworx sales, which has enabled it to become one of the largest platforms in the world today. So this data is very old, but I'm not sure whether it's still correct. Probably somebody from Thingworx can guide me better. But then, as per my information, there are more than nearly 2 billion devices today connected to Thingworx IoT platform. Okay, so it definitely beats the other companies by a huge margin. Okay, again, data storage, again a big component of IoT piece, right? Because all these millions of homes, just imagine the use case of homes, all these millions of homes sending data to cloud-based systems. The data needs to be stored and persisted somewhere, right? So Thingworx offers multiple choices for you depending on the kind of data, the type of your business, the business use case that you have, right? And the amount of data that you want to store, and the kind of access you want, the speed at which you want the data, and all that. You can choose the kind of database, right? You can choose data stacks, you can choose Neo4j, PostgreSQL, all are persistence providers which Thingworx implements. You can choose what kind of database you want to use. Okay, Scarp Engine, again, you can imagine, right? Data from billions of devices coming into the system, terabytes of data being generated every single day, right? And you need to have huge search and such capabilities, right? But for example, suppose you have millions of data from these houses coming to you, and some of those house owners or one company approaches you saying, maybe there was an intruder detected in this particular house on such and such date, which might be 1 year back or 6 months back. You should have that capability to be able to search that terabytes upon terabytes of data, and able to get that particular use case or that particular record out very, very quickly, right? Otherwise it fails basically, right? And so those kind of features where you can have huge amount of search capabilities, and Squeal is what they call it, which is search, query, and analyze in Thingworx, which provides all these features. You can develop filters, you can you can basically drill down into a use case, and okay, you can want to see how many houses where intrusion was detected. Okay, fine. How many houses then from those lists? How many houses have intruded between 9 p.m. in the night and 5 a.m. in the morning? Okay, that's it. How many houses located in this area where this intrusion was detected? Okay, you can get that. Visualize as reports and publish them using Okay, you can publish them using the features of Thingworx. So for example, here a trucking company which has a fleet of 20,000 trucks. Okay, this is an actual example of Thingworx, and which is a technician need to quickly figure out that okay, which is the model of this truck which is right now plying on this road, where some problem is there. Okay, and what kind of part will fit into that. So very quickly that information can be gathered by that technician, and the part can be arranged and fixed in the truck. Because all the data is there of the truck, all the metadata is there, and then you can figure out the model and make and driver and contact details and everything. Quickly drill down there, figure out which parts are required, connect to a parts supply company, get the order filled, repair that part. So such systems, their end-to-end ecosystem based on real live data coming in are possible using Thingworx. Collaboration is another feature of Thingworx. So, social media is becoming so important. Right now, social media, like WhatsApp has already been started using extensively for business. Right, everybody is using it. But Facebook and other Instagram, etc., business usage has not been that much till now. But that's what is going to change in future. A lot of business is going to happen through social media, and companies will have their own Facebook pages. There are a lot of employees will share information, all that. There also Thingworx can directly connect, and you can post information, get input from there, filter the data out, take actions based on that. All that is possible using the collaboration engine of Thingworx. Again, another important component of Thingworx is connectivity. So you have this, IoT is nothing without connectivity, right? And Thingworx basically calls itself as inclusive connectivity, right? What it means is that you can connect to everything and anything, basically. Okay, so you can, suppose you have a back-end SAP applications or PeopleSoft applications, or you have devices which are spread all over the world, right? And you have maybe some things which are in databases, some heritage applications using mainframes or something. You can connect to any such system and share data, share results, share information, take actions using Thingworx. So there are, like in connectivity, there are two things that I want to explain to you. Of course, there's a lot more to explain, but two things if you can look at. One is the Thingworx Edge SDKs, and one is the Thingworx WebSocket connection. So what is Edge SDK thing? So for example, let's say in this house use case, you are trying to deploy a device. Let's say for your air conditioner, you want to make it smart. So you bought a smart air conditioner. Now Thingworx will provide you two mechanisms to connect to that air conditioner. One is that you can have this Thingworx WebSocket based microserver, a small microserver which is built for several platforms, and you can install it on your either on your air conditioner or the aggregator, which I showed you earlier, maybe a mobile phone which connects to the air conditioner. And this particular Thingworx WebSocket based microserver will know how to connect to Thingworx automatically, and it's always on, and will start sending data to Thingworx platform immediately. Okay, the other possibility is that you can have like you suppose, for example, in the use case which I showed you earlier, let me quickly go back to that slide and show you right here. You see this aggregator device, for example, wearable device, connects to mobile phone. So on this mobile phone, you can implement an app. In that app, you can implement the Thingworx SDK, okay, which can then connect to this watch and get data from it and pass it to a cloud-based system. Again, it's a very, very powerful mechanism and very easy to implement, and you can develop a lot of code logic and stuff based on that. Okay, so moving on. So you can see here, this is just a diagrammatic representation where this house has several connected devices, which all the data will come to an aggregator kind of device. And from that aggregator is where the WebSocket Edge microserver is installed. Okay, maybe it could be a mobile phone, could be a physical router kind of thing, or maybe a computer system. And you install it here, and then it communicates to a Thingworx platform and process the data and receive instructions and pass the instructions back to the house and does all that. So this kind of ecosystem has been evolved by Thingworx, which is very powerful and very easy to use. Okay, similarly Thingworx Edge SDK, if you have many more requirements where you want to do a lot of things which are, require a lot of business logic development and all that. So you can use this SDK, you can implement your layer of this SDK using this SDK. It could be in any language, if you know C#, Java, Android, any sort of language. Supported SDKs are provided in all languages. You can implement that and then develop your app, wrap around it This SDK will know how to communicate in a secure way to the cloud-based system, and you can start working with it. So connectivity, key piece of IoT, very well handled in multiple ways, in a very secure way. I'll talk about security a little bit later, but handled in a very, logical, easy to use, and secure way by Thingworx. So now coming to a lot of Thingworx features, as you can already see, because of huge amount of visual interface being provided by Thingworx, right? Where you have, drag and drop kind of features. And once you connect a device to Thingworx, you see the device in Things. You can drag and drop, take its data out. You can develop reports on it. So you can do a lot of things which are in a very, very quick way. In fact, many times, you don't even need to be very technical to do that, because you can just, it's all visual driven and very, very intuitive kind of user interface which can help you do that. You can also build, a lot of very, very smartly. Like you can build a very feature-rich solution where if you want a particular action to happen based on a number of conditions, you can build all that logic in your cloud-based system. You can put a lot of if-else and all those kind of conditions, time-based conditions. You can raise an alarms in multiple ways, send an SMS, send a trigger, send a Google SMS or something like that. You can do a lot of things to be able to connect back to the device and take action on it. So you can build a very smart application which can do a lot of things intuitively using artificial intelligence kind of abilities which Thingworx provides. And last but not the least, it's built for enterprise basically, because enterprises have a very limited time frame today to develop things, right? Things are moving so fast. And also enterprises have a lot of, they want a very scalable and secure kind of model, which tomorrow today they are doing something, tomorrow they might add a lot of features to that and all that. So they want a solution which can scale up very fast. Also the number of devices, suppose I'm selling some device, like in Centa, we've already sold like 1,000 devices in the market. But tomorrow, let's say we get orders for tens of thousands of devices, right? So we want a system which can scale up very fast and able to replicate the data very fast. So all those things I can do very well with Thingworx. Very, very fast time to market because of all these features which I already explained, and very simple to implement. As I said earlier, for Thingworx implementation, many times what we see is typically developers will be there, but along with developers there will be business people also. We'll all sit together, and Mashup Builder, for example, can be used by any business person who understands Mashup Builder very well and can develop any sort of reports which are fairly complex in nature. Similarly, your developers, because of intuitive UI-based things, developers can also develop very fast your application. So it's very simple and very intuitive. And modeling and other things and reporting, as I said earlier, your several reports are already pre-built by Thingworx for several different domains. So if you are in that domain, let's say banking and financial domain, and Thingworx has already got reports, you can look at those reports and see whether it makes sense for you. And then you can just get them and implement your data into those reports rather than building your data from scratch. All right. So again, because as I explained earlier, Thingworx is one single platform which has been developed from scratch only for IoT. So across, all features which we can imagine are available in Thingworx, much more than any other platform. And so it's highly interoperable, production grade applications, there is no downtime, built for developers to kind of add features to it, integratable, too much integration possible with backend systems, workflow development, all those things, reporting development, everything you can do. A lot of built-in analytics capabilities, especially with Mashup Builder and all that, which enables enterprises to really, quickly build analytics applications and derive value. See, why I'm doing this air conditioning use case or this healthcare use case. Let's take the example of this healthcare use case. I'm getting all the information about your health. But what is the value that company will derive? For example, an insurance company will derive value saying, okay, this guy is maintaining good health because he's walking daily for 5 hours or 5 kilometers. He's also eating healthy. Maybe he sleeps well, so sleeping pattern is good, right? So if all this data is with me as an insurance company, I can offer cheaper insurance to that person rather than to a person who is not maintaining his health well, right? So all this analytics from data can be built very easily in Thingworx using the Mashup Builder and the data visualization tools which are there. Okay, so very easy to develop and build applications. Again, security, one of the key things and aspects of IoT. Security is also a very key feature of Thingworx, and of course, as you can understand in IoT, IoT will be as secure as the weakest link in your chain, right? So for example, if you have, let's say, data is coming from a physical device first to an aggregator, and then from an aggregator to a cloud-based system, then to the big database, right? And then reverse flow, which happens back. Anywhere a breach can happen. So Thingworx takes care of the entire security in the entire chain. So you saw that earlier the micro edge server, right, or the SDK. It takes care of security at that level, at device level, right? And then you have the cloud-based system, which is anyway built very, very securely. All data transmission which happens within Thingworx happens in very, very secured, encrypted manner, right? And even the transmission internally which happens within Thingworx and integration with other systems like SAPs and Oracles that you build, all of that happens in a highly, you can say, highly encrypted manner. So edge connectivity, as I already explained, it's all done through encrypted transmissions. So once you, before sending, you encrypt data. Once you receive it on the cloud, you decrypt data. And they follow standard protocols, RFC 605, which is a standard protocol which is implemented by Thingworx. Okay, it supports HTTPS, of course, and of course username, passwords, everything is highly encrypted, right? And runtime permissions can be assigned to the system. Only people who are authorized to view certain things can see certain things. For example, in the example of housing example, let's say a large corporate is there, which has built this, implemented this device in thousands upon thousands of homes all over India. So then you have different vice presidents of different operations, right? So maybe North India you have a vice president, South India you have a vice president, East India you have a vice president, right? And then within that vice president, there would be different people assigned to different towns and cities maybe. So a person living in Hyderabad, for example, should see only devices which are working in Hyderabad. He should not be able to see data from Mumbai, right? So such kind of hierarchical structures can be built very, very easily in Thingworx. And a person, an authorization can be controlled, using visual tools in Thingworx in a very, very easy way, like in any typical ERP, right? It provides all those features and data encryption, and system passwords and keys and everything is stored in encrypted manner. So as secure as it can be. It's one of the most secure IoT platforms today in the market. So now comparing Thingworx with some other IoT platforms, right? So you have, scalability, of course, every platform is scalable because cloud-based systems means scalability automatically comes in. But then 24/7 ability also everybody is there at the same level. But developer friendliness, I will rate Thingworx much higher than IBM Bluemix and Amazon because those are like second thoughts in a way. IBM has come up with Bluemix platform like later on. The concept came in, they've already got a Bluemix platform, they have a lot of software. Now they put all those things together and made their Bluemix platform. Not specifically for IoT, but Thingworx is built for IoT and built for developers like you and me. So very, very developer friendly, plug and play, highly secure, very, very secured, as I already explained to you. Very, very high level of visualization, which is not there in any other platform. You can drag and drop and build very, very complex reports in Thingworx. Integration, highly integrable. You can integrate with anything using REST over HTTP, WSEN, SDKs. You can integrate with devices. You can integrate with backend systems. Legacy applications. Anything and everything is possible. Protocols support out of box all protocols, and always on is basically Thingworx protocol, which is also supported, of course, by Thingworx. And this is always on is used in the WebSocket part of Thingworx, right? And then you have very high level of platform management, much better than many other platforms. It's a complete offering. All aspects of IoT are covered in Thingworx because Thingworx is built for IoT, as I explained earlier. And it's proven in the market, right? So it is there from 2009. And billions of devices already connected. And I bet you that you would have heard about Thingworx getting breached and some applications on Thingworx were, kind of compromised and something like that, right? Most of us would not have heard about it because it's very secure and proven in the market and being used successfully in businesses by lots and lots of companies, especially in the medical, industrial IoT also. Okay, so some months back we decided at Excelta because we are an IoT. Along with solutions building, we are also an IoT Thingworx provider, like an IoT training provider. So we are tied up with Thingworx and we are now their exclusive partner in our area, and we are offering Thingworx training. We are launching that program in February, basically, where anybody can get trained in Thingworx. It's going to be like maybe, part of it could be online, part of it will be a physical session that we will do, and there are no prerequisites for it. You just need to have, if you have some database skills or some basic programming skills in any language, that will of course add to the value. But then you can build a Thingworx solution architect if you have prior knowledge of businesses, or if you want to change your, because IoT is such a buzzword. Number of jobs in IoT space are going to outnumber jobs in all the spaces put together in the next few years. So better to be on that side, right? And Thingworx is one of the largest platforms, so why not learn Thingworx? It makes automatic sense. So we believe that, Thingworx is the largest brand in IoT space, and many companies are its client, and new generations of jobs are getting created in it. And a lot of skilled professionals who are already working in companies as project managers, as architects, as developers, as database experts, as scripting experts, as web development experts, as cloud-based experts are required to get into Thingworx space and understand Thingworx. So all of them can do this training and really develop themselves. And you can see this is a small list of Thingworx clients. There are many more. Of course, we couldn't fit in here. But you name it, every company in the world that you can think of, almost all Fortune 500 companies are Thingworx client today. And that list is expanding fast. And that's why Thingworx and Excelta have partnered to offer this course, as a step to get into the jobs which are going to come out and which are already coming out in Thingworx in a big way, right? And we are also launching a program called IoT Solution Architect, where we are going to teach about Thingworx, but also about IoT. So it's going to be an integrated program where a person who joins this program, typically he should have at least 2-3 years experience in the industry, preferably in the development space, or maybe in some domain space. And then he can do this course and become an IoT solution expert, where he learn about the physical device also, he'll learn about the communication protocols also, like MQTT, REST over HTTP and all that. He'll learn about security also. He'll learn about cloud-based systems also. He'll learn about Thingworx end-to-end, all aspects of it. Essentially, he'll become an end-to-end solutionizing architect for IoT. Okay, so once he understands all aspects of IoT, then there is, basically, once you understand that, then you can suggest solutions to companies. And you can design solutions for companies in IoT space. That's what Excelta is launching, as a program, which will be a part-time program in Hyderabad very soon. And these are the kind of positions that you see in Thingworx, which are there in the market. For example, you have IoT solutions, say, Thingworx developer, automation engineer, consultant, solution architect. So all these kinds of positions are available in Thingworx, which can be filled if you do this solution architect or Thingworx training, and become an expert in Thingworx. And of course, you can visit us at excelta.com and learn more about these programs. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover today. So that brings me to the end of session today. So can I pass it back to Sabha? Sabha, are you there?
Thanks a lot, Mr. Piyush. We can take up the questions now. They are displaying in the question panel.
Okay, so let me just go there. Okay, so let me start from the top. How can we start the IoT career and what are the things? So I already covered that, Srinivas. I think that question must have been answered by now. So you can start your career by, so we in Excelta are an IoT powerhouse. We are the world's largest IoT trainer. And both me and Manish, we do these trainings and all that. And we have several trainers who are actual experts who have worked in IoT systems. So you can start your career by looking at what things we offer. Because you need definitely a stepping stone to get into IoT space. But then you can reuse your existing knowledge in IoT, to be able to you use your existing knowledge in whatever thing you are working on, maybe Java, maybe .NET, or maybe databases, or cloud-based systems, or maybe some business domain, and you can redevelop yourself as an IoT expert. Because IoT is not a technology; it's an amalgamation of existing technologies, right? Which a solution architect can understand and then implement. Then you say, Hasnan, what is accuracy rate? I don't understand. which accuracy rate you are talking about. If you're talking about the accuracy rate of data coming to the cloud-based system, it's fairly high. Okay. What is the state of IoT in India? How long will it take to see a visible impact of IoT in India? Is there any government initiative for using IoT in India to achieve better governance? Yes, imagine lots of initiatives in India, especially last 2-3 years. Huge emphasis on IoT in India. See, IoT, there's a lag behind everything that you want to do, right? So we thought about launching this IoT trainings, and then when we actually launched it, it took us 6 months to do that, right? For a government and a country like India, it's going to take time. But huge initiatives from Government of India. In fact, the smart city initiative is entirely IoT. And lots of companies, probably you won't have, not aware of it, but there is a smart city group by Government of India, which is an authorized group by Government of India, where there are at least 30 top companies of India registered in that, okay, to launch and provide services to Government of India in terms of smart city. And smart city initiative just so it will take at least 5-6 years to make an impact on the ground. I hope you guys are able to hear me clearly, right? So basically, okay. So now the point is that a lot of initiatives by government. We are going to see major impact of it in smart city initiatives, in business initiatives of Government of India, in governance initiatives of Government of India. Lots of impact is going to happen, but it's going to take some time. Right now it's all lots and lots. People are experimenting, trying out things. But after it, we have started seeing actual implementations happening. Right? And being in IoT space, I can vouch for it that next year is going to be about implementations and actually making an impact on the ground. Till now it has been more about hype and developing solutions and experimenting and all that. What exactly IoT means? Can you say anything of things? I think I explained that. I'm not going to take this question. Next is this open source platform? See, SDK that they expose is of course going to be open source. And you can implement on top of it whatever you want to do. But internally that platform, what it uses is not open source. Right? And they're going to charge something, so it's not free also. And they're going to charge you something. But the typical rate for a device to get online, suppose you built a home automation device and you want to bring it online in Thingworx. It's not going to cost you initial, for first 4-5 devices, Thingworx will typically allow experimentation free of cost, almost, right? And then per device they will charge you something like maybe 40 rupees or 30 rupees, which in dollar terms probably 50 cents or 70 cents per month per device. Then they will allow so many SMSs, so many alerts, so many reports and all that, right? So it's fairly cheap and the rates are falling. This is a trial version, of course. There is always a trial version. You can download a 30-day trial version, access for 30 days, and you can do it. Can we connect? Yes, you can connect. Hadoop services. You can connect anything with Thingworx. There is no restriction. If you can use RESTful API, you can connect anything in the world with Thingworx. Forget about Hadoop. You can connect your legacy IBM mainframe 30-year-old applications also with Thingworx. It is not an in-house kind of thing. It is typically a cloud-based system which is available to everybody. You can have an in-house implementation also, but typically people use it on the cloud and available to everybody, but you have your own slice or your own multi-tenant systems. You will have your own access and you will see only your company's data. Right? That's how cloud systems are. For example, you log into ICICI Bank account, cloud, and you see only your account details, right? You don't see my account details. Right? So that's a multi-tenant system. Similarly for our Thingworx, all the people in your company who have access, they see only their details. That's a multi-tenant system, but you can also have your own company private cloud implementation also. How to make a normal device IoT enabled, for example, eye spectacle. You have to build, first of all, the spectacle should be technically capable of generating. So I told you, every smart thing that you build has to have sensors. So what kind of data you are going to capture from the eye? It should make sense to you for a business use case, right? So first you build a spectacle, like a Google spectacle. It used to measure based on the key airdrops, able to figure out let's say the blood sugar level in your body. So let's say you build a sensor like that on your spectacle, which based on the automatically gets the moisture from the eye without you realizing it, and able to figure out what is the blood sugar level, pass that on to the cloud-based system. So in order to build that thing, you will have to build sensors that are capable of doing that, fairly complex to do, right? But definitely a lot of scope to build. No, you don't need to have knowledge on Java, Python coding for learning Thingworx. Any knowledge of programming will be helpful. So the time for this program, Tarun, is something like, this program could be worked as per your schedule and convenience. It could be like, like a 60 hours kind of program, or it could also be increased to like 80 to 120 hours, depending on what level you want to go to. And overall program could be extended up to 150 hours if you want to go complete end to end. But then much of it will be projects which you can do at your home. And some of the parts of that component of training can be delivered online. But for some components, physical presence might also be required. So you can see that demo we can show you the text, but then not a part of this today's session. Is there any ML and AI concepts? Suppose see, Thingworx supports big database, right? It supports all big data concepts. So once it supports that, then it supports automatically all your artificial intelligence kind of features, and you can develop any sort of code. Like for example, in a house scenario, you can build typical complex conditions like looking at the face of a person entering into your house. You can figure out whether that person is authorized to enter into your house or it's an intruder, okay, based on image analytics. And then take a decision, okay, this person is an intruder, need to trigger an alarm. And those things can be done on Thingworx. Nothing prevents you from doing that. I already explained the prerequisites. What's the time right now? Let me do a quick time check. Okay, we have 5-6 more minutes. How do you get any device connected to Thingworx? Like a bulb to turn off or on using. So as I explained earlier, Raja, what you can do is you can, you have to have some sort of physical hardware in the bulb where you can implement your, edge server, or that hardware has to have, the bulb has to have an ability to have sense something and then pass that information to an aggregator like a mobile phone maybe, or to a physical system or something where you have an ability to collect this data and send it to Thingworx platform, right? So such kind of things you need to do if you want to make your bulb. And then you have to have an ability to receive information back also. For example, if nobody is detected in the house and data is sent to cloud saying that nobody is there in the house, and the cloud-based system determines that, okay, at this point of time, this is in night 11 o'clock, typically everybody sleeps in this house. These are artificial intelligence capabilities. And say, yes, everybody is sleeping in the house at this time, let me switch off the bulb. It sends an instruction back. So the bulb has to have some ability to switch itself off based on this instruction coming in, right? So we have to build that bulb, smart bulb, in other words. Right? So that's the hardware thing. But then it's all communication, everything is software. So aggregation and gateway device will be dedicated to not just one person or identity. So you can have one identity for the gateway device also, unique identity, because it communicates via the internet to the cloud-based system. And then this aggregator, maybe let's say a mobile phone. Okay, let's say you, your wife, your kids, all wear smart wearable bands, Fitbit bands. All of them can communicate to your mobile phone. So you can set it up in such a way that all of them communicate to your mobile phone. So your mobile phone becomes an aggregator. There is an app from Fitbit which collects all this data and then sends it to, let's say, Thingworx platform. Okay, and on the Thingworx platform then, actions are taken. Let's say somebody's health is not good or some condition is determined, it can take action based on that. I hope that point is clear. And so one question is, what are the security needs that can be applied as IoT send data to prevent the person data privacy? Yes, definitely, as I explained earlier, IoT is as secure as the protocol that you are using, right? So data encryption, for example, if you are using Bluetooth Low Energy, for example, in Apple iWatch, for example, you use Bluetooth Low Energy to communicate from the iWatch to your mobile phone. So Bluetooth Low Energy as a protocol defines its own security, encryption. It has its own man in the middle kind of security built in, right? It uses frequency hopping mechanism. So you can So basically, that's where, all your devices, communicate. So as secure, your device or your ecosystem will be as secured as Bluetooth Low Energy Protocol. Right? Similarly, data is sent from the Thingworx, this using socket connection, or HTTP over S or something to a cloud-based system, right? Or to a backend system of your company, data is sent using REST over HTTP. So you can use HTTPS, which again secures. That will be as secured as HTTP REST. Your Thingworx deployment will be as secured as a cloud-based system, right? So all these things, IoT is as secured as the individual pieces which go into it. And of course, you have to test everything thoroughly to make sure there is no leakage anywhere. So one question is there any authentication, authorization support using gateway and aggregate device? And yes, definitely, they can be built. It all depends on you. What protocol you use, whether you want to build an authentication system. You can build that. In your code, you can put an authentication mechanism and make sure it works like that. Right? So it's all up to you. For example, in one of the shelter devices that we have built, we have built a mechanism where a secure key is set along with data, which is generated every time data is sent. And then on our side, we decrypt that key and figure out whether data is coming from our device or not. We can also allow that, okay, the devices, only these names are allowed to access our platform. And that data is also encrypted. Right? So once we get it, we decrypt and see, okay, whether the name is confirming with our device or not. So all that is very much possible. So you can definitely start building apps, Krishna, in IoT space, as you are asking. There's a lot of work required there. But then you need to get more involved in IoT. Where I suggest to you, do one of our trainings in IoT. I'm not trying to sell my training, but then you have to understand that IoT is a different ballgame. It's a new area. And you have to develop that basic understanding to be able to get into IoT space. And one of our boot camps that we have is ideally suited for anybody who wants to get into IoT space. Right? It's built for that. And I'm proud to say that at least several hundreds of our, trainers have joined IoT after doing our training. Okay, guys, just I'll take a couple of more questions. So I'm a Java developer and would like to do a POC on IoT using Thingworx. How would I start? Can I respond in steps? So also, we have no time to explain steps, but I guess you have to do some training on Thingworx to be able to figure that out. Or if you can do it on your own, you will have to download Thingworx and practice it and read all the material to be able to do that. It's very much possible for you to do it on your own also. And usually protocol support is there in Thingworx. Is IBM Watson is the IoT platform? Yes, IBM Watson is a AI-based IoT platform. Okay, which is becoming very popular, but there are limitations there also. So Thingworx is the largest. Market share information is not shared by these companies because it's a very, very evolving market and nobody knows. But Thingworx is definitely the largest in the world and remaining, and it's also the top quadrant of your Gartner report. But then others are there, and I believe your Microsoft Azure is also picking up well, and Bluemix is following after that, and your other platforms are behind that. Training is going to start, is going to be launched from February time frame. Okay, that's training cost will be defined at that point of time, but it is very, very affordable. So training will be done only for both. There will be different trainings for freshers and professionals. Okay. We don't need to know too many technologies. That way Thingworx has been developed is, that you can, without knowing too much technology, you can start developing on it. That's the whole idea behind Thingworx, to make it so user-friendly, so visual interface driven, that you can do it. So that brings me to the end of my session today. Guys, I'll pass it back to Sabha to conclude the session today. So, Sabha, to be waiting, I think it's almost 6 o'clock. So please go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Piyush, for this really empowering and motivating session today. I would also like to thank all our participants for making this webinar a great success. This webinar has been recorded and the recording will soon be available on techgeek.com. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you everybody.